Ladybugs, why don't you just buy something? Listen, I know there's a lot of traps out there that you can buy that work very well. Glue traps do work, but they don't work in cold environments, and they're kind of brutal on the mice. These Victor traps are excellent. They're awesome. They are very efficient. They work very well. They kill the mice very quickly, and I do like them if you want a kill trap. There are a lot of live traps out there, and this is one of the ones that I purchased, and it, again, works very, very well for what it is. Honestly, I don't know why I like making mouse traps, but I do enjoy making them. They're challenging, it's kind of fun. Do I have a lot of time on my hands? I guess that's up to judgment, but I do like making them, and I've been fairly successful at making them and getting ones that work, and if they don't work, I love figuring out how to make them work. I've been thinking that you could scale these up a little bit for larger prey. You could use them in some survival situations, that kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I use them just to challenge myself. I might find a different type of project eventually to challenge myself. Some people call me a little sadistic. I don't really think so. I mean, I do let them go, and I try not to let them suffer, mainly by checking the traps as often and frequently as I can. As for the bucket traps, I mean, I've heard this is probably one of the most common comments, is either using the Victor trap or using a bucket trap. And I did do a mousetrap competition where I tried the bucket trap, and where I'm using them right now, the bucket does not work. It just simply does not work. And the other thing too is I hate using peanut butter. That's just wasting food. I know you can put some other things in the bottom of the bucket. Anyway, stop telling me to try to use the bucket. I have. It doesn't work for me. Now that rant's over, this is the next trap that I made, or I've been working on, and this is, you can use any kind of container. This is a fairly big container that used to hold like hand sanitizer wipes, but you can use something like this too, which is just a large snack jar. The larger lid makes things easier to work with, and the whole mechanism for the trigger will be on the lid and not in the bottle at all, or not in the container at all. And for the trapdoor, you just need a bottom of a metal can or a piece of metal that you have that's going to be magnetic. I just happen to have this small Pringles can. In your lid, you're going to have to make a little hole. In this case, I just make a hole that'll definitely fit a mouse in there, probably even a small rat. And you got to just simply get the door where you're going to be putting the hinge for the door, and just cutting the door to size. And I ended up using, for the hinge, I ended up using just a piece of wire that I had, a straight piece of wire. As you can see, when I tried to close the door, I needed to put some more bends in there so the door would lay flat. Then it's time to start test fitting the door, making sure it lays flat against the lid. And because there's so many little indentations on this particular lid, I had to really cut it down and trim it down so that the metal really doesn't stick out from the side of the opening too much. Drilling some holes for the little magnets and glue them right in. Now, developing this trigger system was very much an evolution. I wasn't really sure exactly what I was going to do, and I figured I'd make it up as I was going along. Now, I use this very thin wire. It's more like a picture hanger type wire, so it's malleable and it's easy to form and work with. And what I do is I bend it so that it can go underneath the door, and when you rest the door, it'll actually rest right on the wire. And this is where the adjustment comes into play. You have to adjust it to a point where if you bend it too far in, of course the door, you have to, when you pull the wire, the door will not open very easily. So you have to bend it out a little bit and a little bit more till you figure out where, if the mouse pulls on that wire, it's going to drop the lid. Now, once I twisted the wire together, I always use a pop tab for my holding my bait. When you twist the wire together, there's little notches in each of the twists where the lid can sit on, so it makes the trigger so much more sensitive and more precise. And you can adjust the way you're bending your wire so that the door will drop down, either very sensitive, or the mouse will need to pull on it a bit more. Now, once you're happy with where you have your trigger system, and it's at that sensitivity, you can see I can just barely touch it and it will go. Then I just used a Sharpie to mark on my little twisted part of wire of how far I want to lift up the lid. So whatever notch I really like that lid to be resting on. And I also just wanted to make a little bit of a ramp so that the mice could jump in a little bit easier if they needed to. being a round container, I had to just hot glue on some little supports there on the sides. People wanted recordings of me catching these things, so this is how I figured it out for myself. Now I used a LED lamp, and in this case I used some red light, and I used my old SJ4000 action cam running on a continuous loop, and it's plugged in for so I don't have to worry about battery power, so it's just powered by electricity. And here it is in action. Now the pretty cool thing that I think is how it jumps in, doesn't even use the ramp. It jumps in, clears it, doesn't hit the trigger, which is amazing because there's not much clearance there. And then grabs it, and again, because it's a light trigger, the door drops. But it's amazing how it jumps in. I'll show you an example of 6 times where a different mouse jumps in and out, in and out. You'll see it taking some of the cache in the back of the seeds and taking them out for storage, and it doesn't hit the trigger at all. But then you'll see finally, once there's nothing in there, it'll hit the trigger for that seed in that pop can tab, and then bam. You've been captured by Ladybug Adventures. You've been released by Ladybug Adventures. Well, as always, thanks for watching, and I don't just do mouse videos, I do a lot of other videos, computer builds, car cam videos, that sort of thing, bow builds, and archery videos. So if you like what you see, please subscribe, and hopefully I answered a lot of questions and comments. Thanks.